Hey there, welcome. It's Karen Lanou from No Limits Businesswoman. And this is your No Limits Live. And I've got Chili here sitting by the fireplace and Pepper, who have just woken up with me just suddenly speaking out loud in a very quiet room. And I'm pleased to be here with you. Today we're going to be talking about finding your voice in any situation. And I'm being wimpy because I've got a fireplace, the fireplace going here. It is much warmer than most places, especially back east. So this fire is actually in honor of you. And it doesn't have anything to do with me and the fact that I'm still cold. Anyways, glad to have you here. If you don't know me, again, my business is called No Limits Businesswoman. And I help women in business who are stalled and are kind of not getting anywhere in their professional life, whether they're working for somebody else or for themselves. And I help them to get clarity, confidence, and take quantum leaps in their business or in their work life. And in the meantime, we also get rid of overwhelm, procrastination, self-sabotage, and the imposter syndrome. So again, today what we're going to be talking about is finding your voice in any situation. And specifically for me, this is really close to my heart because, yes, some of you know me that I have a podcast. It's been in the top 10 on iTunes and self-help since 2006. I have another one, which is the No Limits Businesswoman podcast. And it's in the top 50 regularly, top 30, top 50. In careers. And so some of you know that, you would be surprised to know that I would have any trouble finding my voice in any situation. And here's the thing, I did. And the reason is because I'm a classic codependent or recovering now, but classic codependent, which just means that anything that came out of my mouth, anything that I was going to say, I had to judge first how it was going to be heard and received. And that's just no way to do these things, right? That's just no way to run, to live your life, is to always kind of be judging. No, it's smart in some cases to make sure that you are not offending people and to be careful. But I would let everybody talk before I ever said anything. And so here's the thing. If you're the kind of person who has difficulty speaking up and in work situations, again, been there, done that. And if you after the fact, you kind of start thinking, well, geez, you spend the rest of the day thinking about, well, I should have said this, I could have said that, why didn't I say this? And you're beating yourself up. This video is for you. This live here is for you today. What happens over time is that the more you don't speak up, the more you don't speak your truth in a situation, or just speak up about what you know, over time, what confidence you had before starts to plummet. And then also over time, the cost of this in your professional life, never mind your personal life, and we'll get to that in a moment, but the cost in your professional life is that you're not being visible. You're not making impact. And I'll give an example. When I first started years ago, I was part of a chamber of commerce. I was on their board. I was on the board of a local chamber of commerce of the city I was living in at that point. I was intimidated when I first got there. I was really intimidated. I just thought, oh my goodness, what could I possibly have to say? What could I possibly have to offer to this discussion of these, business matters and these things that we were tackling within the chamber at that point. But I really came to understand very quickly that that was not the case. In fact, I had lots and good things to say. But what happened prior to that was I had actually gotten used to speaking up in my personal life and actually at my job. But in other situations, as you kind of expand out and you start to grow as a person and start to take on bigger steps for yourself, bigger roles for yourself, it gets harder because, again, it's a new level, new devil, right? And so the good thing was that prior to that, I had, as I said, I was a codependent person. And so, again, I would judge everything. And then about how I would say it and what I would say, because, again, just how it was going to land with everybody. Then in my personal life, there was a point where I just kind of said, forget it, I'm not doing that anymore. and I started practicing, and this is something that you can do. It's starting to practice the things that I might say, starting to practice with people that you were safe with. So, again, it came down to the fact that I would actually just let everybody else decide often what was going to happen or what they wanted to do first. And I see this a lot for women, is that they'll just say, well, no, you tell me what you want to do. And then would just agree with whatever the other person who they were dealing with or the people they were dealing with. They just say, yeah, okay. Even though, again, just for an example about going out for a meal, it's like, okay, but I really wanted Chinese. Now I'm going for Greek. But I really wanted Chinese. But had you spoken up, had you actually just practiced that might have made a difference in the fact that you would have been able to, because then all of a sudden the other people who wanted Chinese too might have spoken up too, right? So again, start practicing with people that are safe to you. Here's the thing. The reason we don't speak up is we've had experiences. And we've come to conclusions about ourselves and about what we are capable of, or what our opinion, the value of our opinion, or the value of our words. And I have to tell you, it's just a story. Yes, you might have had those experiences in the past. And again, just like I had an ex-husband who was, who did not, anything I had to say, or a lot of the things that I had to say, he just deemed as being stupid, right? And he would just tell me that. And of course, that became my experience because I started to believe him. I didn't really believe him, but I was told that enough that I just realized, I just thought, okay, well, better to just be quiet than not say anything, right? And these are the people, this is somebody that I love, somebody who was supposed to love me back, right? So again, then taking that into the business world, again, there was a point where I just said, that's enough. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to start practicing. And of course, starting to practice in that situation led to it not working out, of course, right? Because he didn't want to hear the truth about what I really felt. So, and what I find is that as you start moving forward, as you start kind of bumping up against the ceilings that stop you, right? Those glass ceilings that stop you. And this one was a kind of a visibility one and confidence one. When you start bumping up at those and start to break through, some people are going to like it, some people are not going to like it so much. And so what you really want to start doing is, so people fall in or fall away. That's what I always say. People, when you start moving, you start expressing yourself, you start speaking your truth, people will fall in or fall away. And what I mean by that is people will fall in and say, yeah, Karen, it's really, I agree with you, right? And all of a sudden you get a little bit of confidence. And some people will fall away and they say, well, this is BS. I'm out of here. Or I don't like this. I liked her when she was quiet. Well, good luck on that. That doesn't work anymore. So, but again, in the work and professional situation, you want to start practicing this. You want to take steps in situations where you feel safe. And again, if you've been experiencing this in your personal life, start in your personal life first. Start with people that love you and your best friends that love you, and start practicing again, just expressing your opinion, and you could even let them know that it's tough for you, and see what they say and just get that support back. But what happens over time is you start to build up that confidence. So in any situation, all of a sudden you find yourself just expressing yourself. Same thing in the work environment, in a work environment where you absolutely 100% know you are right about a situation, and you actually have, let's say you have the proof to back it up, then you need to speak up. Now, one of the biggest challenges in this kind of situation is that we just blurt it out or come off as being really aggressive. When we first start doing this, and so just one thing to be careful of. But if you're going into a meeting, or you're going into a presentation, or some kind of interaction with somebody, and something's going to be put on the table about that you're going to need to discuss, practice it ahead of time. Practice it by yourself. Practice the things that you might say. And again, what will happen over time is that you will start to get more confidence. Really, all of this comes, again, like I said, from our experiences or conclusions or stories that have happened to us before. They really are just limiting beliefs, okay? And what happens with these limiting beliefs as you practice this and raise your confidence, is that these limiting beliefs start to kind of, they start to kind of get blown up. Just the same thing, when I was at the, when I was on the board for the chamber, and I just, I remember thinking, it must be so cool. These people must be so smart who are on the board, who are, at a vice president level and such. And I thought, I could never do that. But then I got more and more confident in my situation and what I had to offer. And I asked the president, if he would, consider me to be a vice president for the next year. And he did. And that was a really rewarding experience. In fact, I was next in line to be president, but I didn't want to do that. It just would take too much time away from my business. So I chose not to, but not because I wasn't afraid, not because I didn't want to be, a spokesperson in the community. That wasn't it. It wasn't out of fear. It was just like, I just didn't have the time. But again, as we take these steps forward, you have to understand, and so you need to start trusting that your opinions are as valid as anybody else's. And that's the key, right? Is starting to understand and trust yourself that, I'm getting this thing I need to think, that's popping into my head that I need to say. You need to start saying those things. And finding a way to again, say it calmly and confidently. And again, that comes through practice. So again, to find your voice in any situation, and I mean any situation, it takes practice. It takes actually getting rid of and eliminating those limiting beliefs. And that's one of the things that I do in my mastermind with my clients is actually start to look at their particular situation, find out what that limiting belief is, where it came from. So they start finding their voice way faster, right? Like way faster. So if that's something that you actually don't want to have to do and try and figure out over time, because that really, for me specifically, that took years. Took years to get to that point. If you don't want to take years, and if the cost to you in terms of your business or your job, if there's a cost to this, that you're not getting promotions, you're not getting bonuses, you're not being visible, you're not being seen by the people that need to see you, then there is a cost to that, and it's usually financial. It then ends up, again, becoming part of more of the mental and emotional aspect as well. But if that is the case, and the longer you wait, the longer this takes you, the more, financially and prospect or opportunities kind of start to go by the wayside. That doesn't mean that you can't get those opportunities down the road. It's just that now you're a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. So if you don't want to do that, you don't want to spend the time, and you want to actually get through those limiting beliefs and get to the point where you want to find your voice faster and get through and pull out those limiting beliefs, then let's chat. You just need to go to nolimitsbusinesswoman.com/talk, because in my mastermind, again, that's one of the most powerful things I've done with some of my clients. It's not the situation for all my clients, but for some of them, it certainly is. And so, again, it's practice. Practice with people that are safe with you, first in your personal life, then in your business, your professional life. Then next, you need to start building your confidence. You need to start trusting yourself that you are, again, as good as anyone. Your opinions are as valid as anybody else's. So I'm going to leave that with you for now. I hope you have an amazing day. And until next time, go out and live a no limits life. Okay, bye-bye.